Sports Central will be going over our next schedule preview this offseason, and it will be over the Duke Blue Devils. And this is a team that went 5-7 in the 2019 season, and they just barely missed a bowl game. But will they make one in 2020 is what we're going over here today. We're going to be going over a few players that this team will be losing, who they're going to be returning, and also going over their schedule for the first time this offseason. Starting off the games that this team has had since November. We start on November 9th when they played Notre Dame. That was a big loss there, 7-38. Of course, the Notre Dame last season was a really good team, so there's a bit of an exception there, but they did have a really bad loss to Syracuse the following week as well. So, yeah, that loss definitely, Duke should have stayed more in that game. They ended up losing that one 9-46. They also had a loss to Wake Forest on the road on the 23rd, 27-39. However, they were able to get a decent win over Miami. That was a home game, 27-17. They won their last game of the season. So, yeah, that was a good win there. They were 4-4 between September and October, and then 1-3 between November and the rest of the season. So, yeah, overall, this team was a bit inconsistent last season. They were decent, I guess you could say, between September and October, but, yeah, those first 3 weeks of November were pretty ugly. Moving on, when they played Miami, that was still a good win, but, yeah, otherwise it wasn't all that great. Moving on to returning production for Duke, they lose their starting quarterback in Quentin Harris. And, of course, he was a decent quarterback last season. He had just over 2,000 yards of offense with 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So, yeah, his touchdown-interception ratio was not very good. It was about a 1.5 to 1. But overall, I think they're going to be losing him, so it really won't matter anyway. But, yeah, he was a good dual-threat quarterback. He had just over 500 yards of rushing last season, too, with an additional 7 touchdowns. So, yeah, he was actually second on this team in rushing, I believe. They returned their top running back in Deion Jackson, and he was a really good player for this offense, probably the best player on this offense last season, as he had just over 830 yards with 8 touchdowns. Mateo Durant is also returning to this team, and he had just over 550 yards too. So, both of those running backs were big players for this team. And they also returned their top wide receiver in Jalen Calhoun, which he is going to be, he should be very improved next season. Of course, he didn't have a very big impact on this team. He did just over 400 yards of offense with 4 touchdowns last season. So, yeah, Calhoun was a good player, but he didn't have a major impact on this team. And I do expect him to be able to increase in his abilities going into 2020. I think that he could definitely be one of the better players of this offense. They do return their tight end to Noah Gray. He actually is second on this team in receiving yards. He had just right around 400 yards of offense last season with 3 touchdowns. They also lose their second wide receiver in Aaron Young, which he had just right around 360 yards last season. And they also return their third wide receiver in Scott Bracey. So they do return 3 of their 4 top in receiving yards. So that's going to be good. Losing Aaron Young will make a bit of an impact. But yeah, certainly returning your 3 of your top 4 receivers in Jalen, Noah, and Scott Bracey, that's going to be really good. They do lose 1 offensive lineman, 2 defensive linemen, and 1 linebacker, as well as 1 in the secondary. So, yeah, this offensive line definitely could be a really bright spot of this offense next season. However, on the defense, there are a couple of little concerns there. Of course, when you lose 2 on the defensive line, that will probably be one of their more weak spots heading into 2020. But losing 1 linebacker and 1 in the secondary, they are losing 4 starters total on this defense, which, yeah, that's right around average. Typically, out of most teams, you'll see 4 to 5, sometimes even 3 starters being lost. So for Duke, losing 4, it's right around the average. But will Duke make a bowl game in the 2020 season? That's probably the big question that everyone's wondering here. And I do expect Duke to make a run for it. I think they will be really close. I don't expect them to jump up to like 9 wins, 10 wins, make the ACC championship. I don't expect that next season, but I do expect Duke to hang right around the bowl marker, the bowl threshold. And yeah, I do expect them to be close. Like, once again, they were 5-7 this season, and yeah, you're losing your starting quarterback in Quentin Harris once again. But when you're returning your entire running back core for the most part, and you're also returning 3 of your 4 top receivers, that's going to be huge for Duke going into the 2020 season. And honestly, the big X factor, in my opinion, as to whether or not they would make a bowl game would have to be whether they get a good quarterback or not. Like, the quarterback position is very, very important. And yeah, we see out of most teams, you can have a good quarterback, but like, no matter what, you gotta have the quarterback position filled. And yeah, losing Quentin Harris could make a bit of an impact, but if they can get a good quarterback to replace him, I do expect Duke to make a bowl game next season. Looking at your schedule for the 2020 season, you start off on September 5th. You got Middle Tennessee, and then you got Elon on the 12th, followed by Charlotte on the 17th. So yeah, your 3 non-conference games to start off the season really are not all that bad. All 3 of those games are very winnable. They're also all at home, so that's going to help a ton. To finish off September, you got Pittsburgh on the road. That could be a bit of a tougher one. You got Wake Forest at home to kick off October. You got NC State on the road on the 10th. You get North Carolina on the 17th, and then you got to finish October with the challenge at Notre Dame. In November, you got Georgia Tech on the road. You got Virginia and Virginia Tech both at home. Then you finish off the season against Miami, this time on the road. And here's what I'm expecting. I'll give you 3 guaranteed wins heading into the 2020 season. I'll give you wins against Middle Tennessee, Elon, and then Charlotte. I do expect all 3 of those games to be wins for Duke. And certainly, looking at the rest of the schedule, there are several other very winnable games for Duke here. Wake Forest, I do expect to be a very winnable game. I don't really expect as much out of Wake Forest heading into 2020. So that could be a win there. Pittsburgh, once again, will be a bit tougher. But NC State, you could win that game too, certainly. Georgia Tech's also winnable. The only problems with both of those games is that they're on the road. But yeah, your record estimation for Duke will be 5-7 and 7-5. And once again, I do expect them to hang right around that 6-win marker, that important 6-win marker. And yeah, I do expect them to, 5-7 and 7-5, that's not all that bad considering you were 5-7 last season. But yeah, looking at all the returning production on this team, you're returning once again your running back core and 3 of your 4 top receivers and basically your entire offensive line. So yeah, for Duke, this offense certainly should improve next season if they can get a good quarterback to replace their previous quarterback in Quentin Harris. If they do so, I definitely think Duke makes a bowl game. I'm already pretty confident that they will make a bowl game. There are 6 winnable games on here for sure. But yeah, nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on Duke in the comments below. Let me know whether you disagree with anything here. Thanks all for watching once again. If you enjoyed this schedule preview, be sure to slap a like on it. Also subscribe. It'd really help out the channel. But yeah, thank you all for watching once again. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I will see you all later.